First things first on a Friday morning, things got chippy last night in LA. Wait till you hear what Anthony Davis had to say about this. The Clippers, they got a big weekend ahead of them. But will their season be over by Monday morning? We'll discuss. And guys, Urban Meyer, he's got big plans for Tim Tebow, or so we're hearing. Will he be the new Taysom Hill, perhaps? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. Jenna Wolfe, Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall, Kevin Wiles. Nick, is your head going to explode? Now Tebow's playing Taysom, maybe?
The only thing that's going to make my head explode is being sick of being so right so often. I warned you, Jags fans.
Take the over.
This was coming. The Tebow Pandora's box is getting opened. Trevor Lawrence sitting there saying, oh my God, what did I sign up for?
He's so right. Appropriately named Nick Wright. All right, get to all that in a second. We got to start out in L.A. Lakers-Suns, Game 3 in front of 7,000 fans. And those 7,000 fans got to see another Oscar-worthy performance from Mr. Brow. Anthony Davis, 34 points, 11 rebounds. And yet, this was still a close game until the Lakers pulled away in the second half for the win. We talked about Chris Paul, CP3 all week. If he was going to go, he ended up playing 27 minutes, only 2.5 minutes, though, in the fourth quarter when the Suns really needed him. So let's take a look at this game. Nick, I'll start with you. Is this series now over after what you saw last night?
Of course, Jenna. And it is not because Chris Paul got hurt. It is because the Lakers
give any
are
disclaimers.
the Lakers. It's because, well, no, it's not. Because it is not because Chris Paul, a player who has gotten hurt in 5 of his last 7 postseasons, unfortunately, predictably, got hurt again. It's because the Suns have no answer for Anthony Davis, and they have no answer for LeBron James, who is quite literally just trying out new things on the basketball court to keep himself entertained. The Lakers have one thing that no other team in the league has had all year, which is game in, game out, no matter what lineup is out there, no matter who's healthy or who's not, stifling, choking defense. And so when you add to that, LeBron as the, hand on the joystick, as Brian Windhorst would say, and Anthony Davis playing like Anthony Davis, you've got no shot. They are dominating this team despite the fact they still cannot hit a single open shot. They are worst of any team in the playoffs on wide open threes, and they're getting more of them than nearly any team in the playoffs. So they're doing this without their shots falling because they have the greatest player ever, because Anthony Davis is back to being Anthony Davis, and because their calling card of playoff level A+ defense has been there from game 1, and it was there at game 75 last night. So yes, Brandon, this series is over, and it is not because an all-time great who gets hurt a lot got hurt again.
You're just going to chop my legs from under me? That's what you're going to do? You want to start off this morning?
I don't know.
Just taking my legs out. You knew exactly where I was about to go. Unfortunately, Jenna, Nick is right, but he's not all the way right. Look, this series was over with 9 minutes left in the second quarter in game 1 when CP3's shoulder was ripped out of his socket. So, of course, it was over. We talked about this yesterday. They had no chance. We're talking about 23 minutes and 6 points, 27 minutes and 7 points last night. I mean, this guy, had no chance of leading his team to victory. He's just out there just trying everything he can to get his guys in spots and get his guys the right look. But unfortunately, they couldn't get it done. But we knew that. Now, when you talk about defense, Nick, you got to go to the other side. That's what I'm disappointed in the Suns for, is their defense. There was too many open buckets in the paint. There was too many easy layups. There was too many just breakdowns in their defense. Guys just wide open. So that's things that they can control. Now, The Lakers look good in spurts. The Lakers look like a championship team. Looking at LeBron James, what he was doing, you said he was trying out stuff. Look at the sideline, the bench. Guys into it finally. They finally look like a championship team. Now, here's the question, Wilds. The question is, can AD be consistent? This was his first time going back-to-back with 30-plus point nights, right? So that is the question. AD, can he sustain this? And not just about this series, but we're talking about throughout the playoffs.
Yeah, I think he can. And I think this series is pretty much done. And we've reached the Bernie Mac's phase of this series, which is like, you don't understand. I'm not scared of you, Phoenix Suns, anymore at all. Because for 2.5 games, LeBron played pretty passive. If we can show his first half shot chart, he's just like kind of, again, floating on the outside. And at halftime, Chuck is like, I don't know, what's the deal with this guy? He's not necessarily injured, but he's certainly playing hurt. And then all of a sudden, Nick, LeBron became old LeBron again and started pounding the paint, getting dunks inside. And I know I joked around with you that he was getting open dunks last game, but these were in traffic dunks. And then it just became a comedy club when he's trying out moves on Jay Crowder. And the next move, when he's putting it through his legs, they just have zero fear of the Phoenix Suns. You're seeing a team that is playing with so much confidence and starting to look Globetrotter-esque, Nick.
Well, and you see the guys on the sideline. So I want to respond to the LeBron point, and then I want to circle back to Brandon's point. I heard Chuck on the at halftime, too. And at some point, I wish folks would have the ability to remember other LeBron James seasons and the beginnings of the playoff runs and what he does. The guy who has scored more points than anyone in playoff history and, more importantly, played more minutes and more games than anyone in playoff history, and very soon will have the most finals appearances of anyone not named or not on the Bill Russell Celtics in finals history. Guess what LeBron knows? He knows what his team needs not to win game 1 or game 2 of the first round, but to win the championship. And you know what LeBron was doing through the first 10 quarters of this series? Trying to get his shooters in rhythm. The same thing he did last year in the first round. Trying to get his shooters in rhythm. Knowing, if need be, in the biggest spots, I still am the most unstoppable force in the league. He didn't just all of a sudden get healthy at halftime. At halftime, he's like, hey, we need to win this game. We've got 2 days of rest before the next one. Take control of the series, so I'll win it for us. And then I will go back to trying to get KCP and Kuzma and Wes Matthews in rhythm. Right. You saw him after game 2 yelling at KCP. Shoot the damn ball. You saw him last night say Wes Matthews was huge. He knows to win the title, those guys have to make shots. So I just totally disagree with the idea that he was, all of a sudden he got healthy. No, and I'm not saying that's what you were saying, Wilds. He was doing what his team needed. But I have a question for Brandon. Brandon, honestly, and nobody's been higher on Chris Paul this year than me. Does having Chris Paul out there prevent Anthony Davis from doing what he did the last 2 games? Because he's not guarding. He's not guarding Anthony Davis.
No, but we're talking about CP3. You not only need CP3 to get everybody in their spots. LeBron said it after the game in his interview. They asked him about CP3, and he tried to be diplomatic and say, well, we're going to approach him like he was 100%. So that's a CP3 question. But he is one of the smartest guys, breaking down defenses, getting his guys involved. And then you also had James on the broadcast talk about you not only need CP3 to do that, but you also need CP3 to score. So that is the difference, not AD. When you look at what you just talked about, their shooting, Jenna, they were 7 of 28 from 3. That is 28%. Yeah. So when are these guys going to get in a rhythm? Now, if they were knocking down their shots, it's probably a different game. But I just believe if CP3 was healthy, they would be up in this series, and it wouldn't even be close.
All right, well, the series now continues Sunday afternoon at Staples, Game 4. we will see how the Suns respond. Back talking Julio Jones as the trade rumors continue to swirl. How about the New England Patriots, Kevin Wildes? Will they be Super Bowl contenders with Julio in the mix? We'll discuss that next. First things first. It was rhetorical. Let's just wait and then I'll ask. Hey, time for Drawing a Blank. We start with the future of Julio Jones as he appears to be headed out of Atlanta. The latest report says the Falcons have been offered a first-round pick for the superstar receiver. Hey, we got a superstar receiver, Brandon Marshall. The team that should trade for Julio Jones is blank.
All right, let me tell a little story. 2006, drafted to the Denver Broncos with the 119th pick in the 4th round. And I stayed there for 4 years, then traded to the Miami Dolphins. I went from averaging 170 targets and 100 catches to around 140 targets and 80 catches. And I could never get those practices out of my head and those meetings out of my head and game day out of my head in Denver when I was in Miami. You remember those moments when you were just the man. And that is Julio Jones. 2015, 2016, his only 2 All-Pro years. His career high still in catches, in receptions, in yards a catch, and first downs. That was Kyle Shanahan, his offensive coordinator. So the 49ers, Julio Jones can't forget that. That's why whoever offered the first-round pick, Julio's like, please, I'm not going there. The same thing James Harden said. If I'm not going to this team, then don't trade for me. I'm not showing up. I'm gonna come in overweight. So Julio Jones right now probably has his eyes set out on Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers.
All right, first of all, it's an excellent story and an excellent take, but the audience might be like, why is he talking about Julio being overweight? Spoiler alert, America, there's a receiver we might have just recently showed on the show that Brandon thinks should maybe, do some crunches. I'm not naming names, but he has overweight on the mind. All right, my answer, though, I would love to say the Packers, but the Packers seem insistent on alienating rather than embracing their superstar quarterback. So I'm going to say the Ravens. Haven't we been saying that Lamar needs better receiving options? Weren't we saying that Antonio Brown maybe should go there? Well, send Julio there. Like, that would be, if you're Baltimore, you're drafting in the late first round anyway because you've been so good since you got Lamar. Now, to Brandon's point, I'm not sure how much Julio would love it, but Julio's already got the Hall of Fame level numbers. He's already got all the money. Reportedly, what he wants to do is win. Baltimore has a great chance, the best chance of anybody, to, of course, finish second in the AFC to the Chiefs. But still, that's something. So I say the Ravens, Wildes.
Come on, you know what's happening. We know what's going to go on. We know Belichick is got his eyes on Julio Jones. We know Julio Jones saw what Randy Moss did in the latter stages of his career. We know that the Patriots spent the most money bringing in all sorts of talented players all across the board. And guess what? We also have the money to do it. Can we show how much money that we're still sitting on? We got a printing press up in Foxborough. Team's ready to win. 49ers, whatever. They're not going to Cleveland. There's one team out there that's the greatest franchise in the history of sports, and we got the money, and we got a great quarterback that he's friends with. So let's go. Jenna, I appreciate you asking this question, but we'll stay like this for the rest of the show. Buy your jerseys. Buy your
He's just an idiot.
He's a weirdo. Lakers Suns final minute of last night's game. You guys see this? Devin Booker getting tossed for this hard foul on Dennis Schroeder. Dangerous play, said Anthony Davis, who talked about it after the Lakers Game 3 win. Listen to this.
Can't happen. Can't do that. I mean, they've been chirping this playoff basketball, but you don't push a guy out the air like that, 2 hands. It's a dirty play. Dennis could have really got hurt right there. We keep it in between the lines. We never want to, and I know Monty, he's not that type of coach. I mean, he probably going to say something to him, but he's my coach for 3 years, but, that just can't happen. Hard fouls, things like that, playoff basketball, we accept those, but, just to blatantly push a guy, with 2 hands out the air, it's a scary play. Good thing he's okay, but plays like that, is unacceptable.
Hey, Brandon, the chippiness last night in Game 3 was blank.
Oh, my goodness. This time of year, AD said it. But all this talk about, oh, it can't happen, please. It's playoff basketball. Intensity goes up. I played for an amazing coach. AAU basketball, high school basketball, Coach Cone, legendary coach, but he harped on the fundamentals. And on the defensive side, he will always say, if a guy is going up and you have to foul him, he bet not score. So you got him going up, but he's going to score because it's kind of like a soft kind of foul. So he had to do this. Now look, he knew what the results was going to be. This is basketball. I'm sorry, please, man. 1990, this happened every single game. Please, these guys are soft.
No, okay. That's wow. Brandon. Put it in the take book. It's Brandon's worst take ever. He's been on the show 10 months. Worst take ever. Just happened right here today. All right. The chippiness at the end of the game was juvenile. And I don't mean multi-platinum recording artists of 400 Degrees juvenile. I mean like kids. Whether it was the stuff on the bench with LeBron and Crowder, that was juvenile. That was just kiddie stuff. And this was juvenile as in wildly immature. Listen, I understand Devin Booker was frustrated, and I do not mind a hard playoff foul. But a hard playoff foul goes north to south. You chop down on a guy. You don't go east to west pushing a guy. There is a reason that across the board this was responded to like this. Brandon, this is a dangerous play. And it was actually fortunate
can you guys put me on camera?
Why? Can you not put him on camera? You don't want to be on camera?
Can you guys put me on camera? You're talking about he did this. Like if he fully extended. Now we're talking about something like
Brandon, the guy's in the air.
Hard. Did you see
Brandon,
how
the guy's in the air?
Oh my goodness.
Brandon, it's the same thing in the NFL.
The game has changed.
In the NFL, no. The game has not changed. This specific play has always been dirty. It's this in the NFL, the intensity might go up in the playoffs. Of
course.
But if a guy intentionally goes at your ankles, it's a dirty play. You know the difference between a hard hit over the middle and a guy trying to take your knees out. If you're in the air and you get two hands shoved from the side or behind, that's a dirty, dangerous
100%.
play. There's no question about it.
And what I'm 100%. And while all I'm saying is we had guys on teams back in the day that literally occupied a seat on a bench just to come into games for those hard, dirty fouls. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting. I'm just too old school.
But we also
Maybe I'm too old.
We also back in the day let the players occasionally punch the customers when they threw stuff at them. That's changed too. The NBA's changed a bit in 30 years. One of the things wilds that they don't allow is this.
This segment went off the rails. We got to go back to talking about Julio Jones. To Brandon's defense, I will try to soften it a little bit. I think Devin Booker knew that Jay Crowder was there, and he wasn't going to. He would have a moderate soft landing. That's one way. I don't think it's the dirtiest play in the world, but it's still a dirty play. My answer is CP3 tutorial. If you want to put a guy on the ground, you got to watch the maestro, Chris Paul, who was getting bumped by Kuzma. And it's like, oh, look, he sort of hit him with his shoulder, and he offers to help him up. No, he didn't. He tripped him. If you watch this angle, watch Chris Paul's left leg. Boom. Trips Kuzma. He's like, I didn't trip you. I'll help you up. It's a great play. And Chris Paul, when you watch him, he's doing a lot of these little tricky plays, like a judo master there, including one at the ref, where he's like, he's like, get out of here. So Chris Paul was also frustrated, but there was no outward dangerous plays, just little trips.
Oh.
Chris Paul being Chris Paul.
Okay. Yeah. Speaking of little trips, Kevin Wildes is weird and wonderful from our national pastime. Aaron Judge lighting it up of late. Went yard for the 13th time last night. Yankees won Game 2 of that doubleheader with the Jays. Oh, it's pretty wonderful, especially if you're a Yankee fan. But Kevin Wildes, what else you got for us?
We have some older viewers of the program. Perhaps you were alive when Babe Ruth called his shot. Perhaps you were in the stadium when Willie Mays made his famous catch, but probably not. But my friends, you were alive for this play, unless you were a newborn baby. If you were, welcome. This is the worst play in Major League Baseball history. And we should celebrate it for finding a historical moment. And a lot of people are saying, great job, Javi Baez. A lot of people are saying, terrible job by the Pirates. It's probably a little bit of both. But me personally, Nick, I'm just happy to witness sports history and be a part of it. I'll be telling my grandchildren about this play, and it will live forever as one of the finest plays in baseball history. And by finest, I mean the absolute worst.
There's 2 outs, so just step on first base and the whole thing's over. That's first of all. Second of all, in a rundown, the whole idea of a rundown is either base you're eligible for. You can't retreat to home. You don't have the ability to retreat to home and be like, I'll resume my at-bat. All of this was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. The first baseman could just stand there or go step on first. I can't believe it. I can't believe this happened in a Major League Baseball game. I can't believe it.
And Javi Baez ends up on second. It's wonderful.
Show Anthony Rizzo again, please.
It's
oh my God.
Laughing at you
so
guys.
good.
Insult to injury. That's 6 losses in a row for the Pirates. But, I mean, with plays like that, that's how you explain it. Not easy being a Pirates fan. Although you're lying, Kevin Wildes. If you're a newborn, then welcome. Might be my favorite line of the week. We got to talk about Giannis and the Bucks. They are steamrolling the Heat in the first round thus far. When's Miami going to show up? Time to raise the bar to NBA title for Giannis. We'll have that for you next. First things first. If you're a newborn, then welcome. Chris Broussard joining us on a Friday morning. Broussard, good morning. We're talking some Bucks Heat. Much more the same in Game 3 that we saw in Game 2, that we saw in Game 1. Total domination for Milwaukee, using a balanced scoring attack. Well, not so much in Game 1. Led, of course, by the giant Greek basketballing superstar freak Giannis Antetokounmpo. 17 points, 17 boards. Giannis said, quote, after, our job is not done here after the win. Nick, start with you. Does this postseason feel different for Milwaukee?
Oh, absolutely. And it felt different before the postseason even started because Milwaukee, unlike the fraudulent JV team in Los Angeles, looked at the playoff bracket and said, give us the toughest path. We want to exorcise our demons. We want Miami in round 1. And now they are old-fashioned molly-whopping Miami in round 1. That's the first reason it feels different. The second reason it feels different, Broussard, is because of one Drew Holiday. Prior to this postseason, Drew Holiday was probably most well known for having the most unique spelling of the name Drew of any human being ever. Now, people are getting to know him as, one of the most underrated players in the league over the last decade. I have a jaw-dropping number for you. In this series, a series the Bucks have dominated Game 2, dominated Game 3, obviously won Game 1 in overtime. When Drew Holiday has been off the court, the Bucks are minus 23. When he has been on the court, they are plus 88. They were plus 41 with him on the court last night. They're only plus 4 when Giannis was out there. Drew Holiday has changed this team. Giannis has matured. PJ Tucker was as good as any midseason acquisition any team made all year, outside of Harden, obviously, which was an early season acquisition. And you're damn straight, this is a different Bucks team. And I understand I'm the only, or Wildes might be as well, but I know Broussard and Brandon still like the Nets against the Bucks. But Broussard, I think even you would admit that the Nets have to be watching this series saying, oh boy, that ain't gonna be easy, because this is not the same old Bucks.
Look, I agree with everything you said until your last 5 seconds. The Nets are not watching this series saying, oh boy, like they're scared. I mean, stop it, Nick. When the Bucks beat them at the end of the season, they were injured. James Harden was nowhere to be found, all right? He's the facilitator. He's the one that makes it work for Brooklyn. So, yeah, they're going to give Milwaukee their respect. They know Giannis can ball. They know Drew is a difference maker and he's a great defender. And they know Chris Middleton is coming of age. I love the way he is developing, getting better year after year. And that's a big thing in this series. But fear, no. Now, let me go here because I agree with everything you said, as I mentioned. They are different. They face their fears. Unlike Brandon's Clippers, they stared the bully down and said, we got to beat them to go where we want to go, and they did it. So I give them all the credit in the world. But the fact is this, too. Miami's a different team. All right? Look, there was pixie dust in the bubble last year. All right, there was something strange going on. T.J. Warren was looking like an all-pro. I mean, it was all types of madness happening in the bubble, okay? And Miami just loved the bubble. And now they've turned back into a pumpkin. And they've been a pumpkin all year. This Heat team just isn't that good. It's as simple as that. They don't shoot the three as well as they did last year. They aren't as tough as they were last year. They're probably a little cockier, which is wrong than they were last year.
Yeah, why?
They don't defend the way they did last year. They are a 6 seed, a deserving 6 seed. So, yes, the Bucks look better, but what if they get beaten the next round? Are we really going to say this postseason was different than the last two? No. So they're doing what they're supposed to do to a 6 seed, smacking them up.
Yeah, but Chris, they look good, man. I mean, last year, the Heat, you're right, the Heat beat them in 5 in a bubble. And now this year, they're up 3-0 like everybody knows. You know, Drew Holiday is playing sensational, 17 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds, and shooting over 50%. Look, the underrated player on this team is not Drew Holiday, Nick. It is Chris Middleton. That guy, man, big shot after big shot. I mean, so efficient. He get his guys in the right spots. That dude right there, Wilds, is the reason why this team can make a run in the playoffs. But unfortunately, you know, when they see the Nets and probably next series, it's going to be over. But man, it is going to be tough. Chris, you can't deny that. You know, there is a lot of validity behind what Nick is saying. This series against the Nets is going to be tough. But you have 3 guys that can drop 25 points on any given night, and that's the thing that the Bucks is going to have to really worry about and try to hone in on, Wilds.
All right, so the Bucks have a championship mentality, and Broussard mentioned it, that they could have avoided the Heat by pulling a Ty Lue and sort of losing that game, but they didn't. They went right through them, and they're going to end up sweeping them. I also think, Broussard, it's important that they sweep. I think if they need that momentum and they're just totally focused, and you see sort of like, this is not the last 2 years, we are here to win, we need to get rid of the Heat as soon as possible. But I want to ask you a question about the Heat. I called up someone close to the Heat organization, and by close I mean just my buddy Ben, who was like physically close to the stadium when he was growing up. But here's what he said. He sounded a lot like me talking about the Patriots. He's like, I always believe in Pat Riley. I believe in Pat Riley. Like, there's such a belief in Pat Riley's master plan that he's not nervous. He's like, we just got run through by a better team. But he's mentioning Kawhi. They're already looking forward. Heat fans are already looking at it. Mentioning Kawhi. And I know I was trying to get fired up to bring Kawhi to New York. But do you think Kawhi to Miami is a real thing with Pat Riley? Absolutely. You got Bam, you got Jimmy. As much as I like him in New York, I think that team could compete with the Nets next year if Kawhi went there.
All right, that's a great question, Wilds, and I won't poo-poo it because it certainly is something that's on the table.
Absolutely.
I think ultimately Kawhi will stay in L.A. I think, number one, we know he's a Southern California kid, and he wanted to go home. Number two, I think Kawhi's got enough pride. Look, his legacy, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. We know he's a great player, all that. But if he were to leave the Clippers in free agency, it would look like a failure, which it would have been if they go out in this first round. And it just looks like you're running. And how many teams do you need to go to? We know this is the age of movement. Nobody looks down on LeBron or KD for playing with all these different teams. But Kawhi going to a 4th team, especially after you failed in your hometown All right, you had the billboards up in L.A. You're the king of L.A. now. You got the commercials, all that, the subtle jabs at LeBron that you're taking over the town. And you run? No, he needs to stay. Like we just talked about Milwaukee. Like Milwaukee has fought through some adversity, and I respect them for it. Kawhi needs to stay in L.A. There might be changes around him, but fight through adversity. This is your franchise. This is your team. Stay there. If he does want to leave, though, certainly Miami to go play with Jimmy Butler and Bam and in a great organization led by Pat Riley, definitely on the table. If I'm Golden State, I'm seeing, can I work some type of sign and trade? I've got Minnesota's top 3 protected lottery pick. I've got the Andrew Wiggins, who Nick is finally in love with. I'll throw him in there. Whatever anybody but Clay and Steph you can have. So I'm just saying, the Golden State's got to get in here too if he's available.
If Kawhi were to leave, I think it's New York or Miami. And Miami, it's important to note, at the trade deadline, didn't do things they could do in order to, at least according to the local reports, keep the flexibility, because Pat Riley thought Kawhi could be an option. I just want to say one thing about the bubble last year in pixie dust. Everything that happened last year in the bubble is repeating itself right now outside of Milwaukee, Miami, which just leads me to believe Milwaukee has gotten a lot better and Miami got worse. The Clippers looked like total frauds in the bubble. Oh, it was the bubble, it was the bubble. Nope, down 0-2. The Suns looked like an up-and-coming awesome team in the bubble, the 2 seed. The Lakers were the best team in the league in the bubble. Oh, they're going to win the West again. The Nuggets had a huge emergence in the bubble. They look great again, and they've got the guy who's going to win the league MVP. So I do think there's a lot that happened in the bubble that is duplicating itself this year outside of this series with these 2 teams, which leads me to believe it was less the bubble and more Miami was much better than they were last year, and Milwaukee had Eric Bledsoe, unfortunately, all-time not good playoff performer, and replace him with Drew Holiday, Jenna, who's been spectacular.
But it is fun to talk about pixie dust, because we don't do that enough on the show. Time for Nick to hand out some NBA medals. LeBron's play on Jay Crowder here could have been medal-worthy all by itself, but the King just missing out on a medal from Nick Wright. Nick, who did it better last night?
Oh, no.
Nice.
Poor Dame. Dame in a loss. He gets a medal. We love you, Dame, but yeah, all you get is the bronze because your team lost. Tried to bring him back at the end. This is great highlights, but let's show some Dame. 37-5 for Dame. Dame, they're going to need an even better game from him in Game 4 to keep this series somewhat competitive. Silver medal, same game. Nikola Jokic, not only a great stat line, 36, 11, and 5, but if you stayed up late to watch it, you saw the Blazers had a furious comeback. All of a sudden, they're down just 3. Missed free throw by the Nuggets. Blazers going to have a chance. Jokic gets the offensive rebound, ices the game with a couple seconds left. And then the gold medal, Anthony Davis, 34-11, and most importantly, 2 times he got injured and shook it off. And Brandon, do you know why he did that? I'm going to tell you why he did that.
Why?
He did that because the brow is back. You didn't think it was happening today. Oh, I don't know if you can. Oh, it's back. Oh, you didn't think. You thought you were going to get off the hook today because now it's just expected. But no, we waited a little bit. The brow is back, Brandon. Well, maybe. Maybe he's back
today.
Maybe.
I mean, 2 games in a row, 30-plus points.
I'm going to have to order a whole 100-pack of these things. It's just every game. Every game I'm going to have to do it.
All right.
Hey,
Kevin Wilds, who just missed the cut.
They make them in 100 packs? Hey, Devin Booker had 19 points last night. Should have had 21. And everyone's saying this is a great Andre Drummond block. It's not. It's a goaltend. This game should be played under protest. This would have turned the momentum around. Devin Booker, way more athletic in this series. So when you're jumping and dropping the ball and it's a goaltend. Devin Booker officially has 21. I'm going to talk to the league about playing this game under protest. Maybe Suns win retroactively. I don't know. Stay tuned.
Well, let's stick with this game. Do you think it's time to officially declare this series a wrap? After the Lakers took control last night, we'll discuss that next. First things first. Back here on First Things First, and we are talking about the latest with tight end Tim Tebow now. Or should we call him all-everything Tebow? A report from Diana Rossini yesterday said there was talk around the league that head coach Urban Meyer is bringing Tebow to Jacksonville to play quarterback in the Taysom Hill role. Fun fact, it's been 9 years since Tebow took snaps in a regular season game. So, Nick, what do you make of this report?
I warned you, Jacksonville. I even quoted the great R.L. Stein. I said, be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. And looky, look. All of a sudden, you have Trevor Lawrence, the best quarterback prospect, at least since Andrew Luck, maybe since John Elway, maybe ever. And we're not even to July. And they're talking about how can we take him off the field to put a 33-year-old failed left fielder on the field. That sounds fun. No, it doesn't. But this is what happens. Tebow gets inside the organization, and he just grows and grows and grows, and fans are going to be chanting for him, and he's going to enchant some teammates. There's no doubt about it. He's got his Svengali-like ability to have people love him, and more power to him for that. But it's just the only problem is not good at the football part, and it's a football team. So you're like, oh, what's the harm in giving him a tryout? What's the harm? Here's the harm. Your organization will go as Trevor Lawrence goes. And any time that you spend with him off the field or without the ball in his hands is wasted time. And to do that, because you want to let Tim Tebow try to do something he was terrible at a decade ago, is inexplicable. So people can root for him like it's like he's at fantasy camp, but he's not. And I thought the Jags were trying to win. And so if this report is true, Brandon, it's not good for the Jags. In no way could it be good for the Jags.
Listen,
and I don't know why they would do it.
Look, it comes down to situational football. I mean, that's the game. The great teams, they do a phenomenal job in those moments. We're talking about a handful of plays that dictates, and separates the good from the great teams. So when you look at Tim Tebow, hell, if he's still tough, Nick, I'll look at him and I'll consider him on third and short, fourth and short, red zone. Right. Only in those situations. It is extremely hard to pick up a 3rd and 1. It is extremely hard, damn near impossible in the red zone to score on the 1 yard line in the run game, right? Because they put everybody in it. There's only a handful of teams that consistently score week after week in the National Football League in the red zone through the run game. So I would consider him there. But first, let's get the tight end position down, right? Like, we're looking at some of these drills. Let me see what we got here. We got a little seam. You're counting on that safety to be in the middle field. Boom, you're going to hit him right there in the middle of the numbers. I want to see Tim Tebow left, right, left. Bro, you got to what he's doing right now, if you look, I'm coaching him because I want him to win because I'm all in on Tim Tebow. I'm doubling down on Tim Tebow. When he's running his routes and you see him in his drills, his head's down. What he's doing right there. Don't look at your spot, Tim Tebow. The DB, the safety, the linebacker, they know that's a tell. They know that's where you're breaking. So put your head up. And then also when you're running those routes, don't go right, left, go right, left. You open up your hip so you can get out of that cut a little bit faster. Tim Tebow, come down to me. All right, Wallace, this is what we're going to do. I want Tim Tebow to come down to me so I can help him with these little things. Because we're not talking about major things for a guy to go out there and catch 15, 20, 30 balls. Brandon. If he comes down, I can help him out. I'm all in on Tim Tebow, Wallace. I'm all in.
Brandon,
Look at that.
Let me jump in. Let me jump in real quick. Yeah, Brandon, you're asking him to come down and work out with people literally half his age. This is not something he's going to pick up. He's our age, Brandon. He's like, and Wilds, I heard you say that's good. Right, is one of the things Brandon said. Guys, did 3rd and short and did goal line exist in the NFL in 2012 and 2013? Were those situations that were there? I think they were.
Yes,
Did the Jets have a need for everything back then?
He led the Denver Broncos to
yes. And then the Jets and the Patriots had him, knowing the need for 3rd and short and 4th and goal, and they were like, go try baseball or broadcasting or something. Because we can't. Wilds. Why would he be better?
But hold on, one second.
Taysom Hill role. Yeah.
1 second. Here's the reason why. Because the game has evolved. Back then, there was only a handful of teams running the Wildcat. That was derived. That was started actually in Arkansas. Back in the day, Arkansas, the running backs. And then you have McFadden, okay? That coach, that offensive coordinator went to the Miami Dolphins. You have Ricky Williams, you have Ronnie Brown. They created that Wildcat. Nobody knew what to do with it. Only a handful of teams did it. So when you looked at what Josh McDaniels did in Denver, they used him right. Now, of course, he wasn't going to last long. So the other teams, when you're talking about the Jets and the Patriots, no way they were going to double down on that. But when you look at today's NFL, the quarterbacks are moving. They look at Josh Allen. You're about to pay this man what, $300-400 million, and he's running the ball 10 times a game. Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray. All these quarterbacks need to move, and they need to be sustainable.
Okay, Nick, can I make one argument? One argument for Tebow. That's what I'm saying. One argument for Tebow. If it's Chiefs, Jaguars, and it's 3rd and 1, would you feel more comfortable as a Chiefs fan if Trevor Lawrence is out there, or if all of a sudden Trevor Lawrence starts jogging to the sideline and here comes Tebow? I think your defense would be like, uh-oh, what's going to happen here? And I think that little bit of confusion is what Urban Meyer is counting on, and I think it would make the Chiefs nervous.
Put a golden retriever out there. They'd be like, uh-oh, what are we supposed to do with this? But they would quickly figure it out. Like, what are you talking about? There's a lot of things. Put a polar bear on ice skates. And they'd be like, huh? This seems weird. But then they'd be like, oh, he can't throw and he's not good at football, so we'll figure it out. You guys are already, we started with, it's a tryout. Then it was, no, it's fine. He's going to play tight end and be good in the locker room. And now we are to, we'll have a package for him where Trevor Lawrence jogs off the field. Okay, enjoy it.
Shad Khan,
I'm excited to
came down and said, make it work. Shad Khan came down and said, make it work. As soon as they signed him, jersey sales through the roof.
If Tebow can do it, check this out. 2-time Super Bowl champ, former running back Brandon Jacobs tweeted yesterday, well, since Tebow came back after being off a good bit, I'm announcing today that I, too, will come back. I will play defensive end for whatever team gives me a chance. He continues, I'm really serious about coming back as a defensive end. I can still run. I am strong. And there's no way Tim Tebow's a better athlete than I am. I just need a shot. That's it. If I can't cut it, I'll take it like a man. Just give me one chance. That is all. Jacobs posting this pic, and he does look ready. He looks good.
Woo.
I mean, Brandon, I called my high school volleyball coach. I was like, is this a thing? If Brandon does it, Tebow does it. Like, I'm all in. What do you make of it?
Listen, Nick, please don't crush me. In America, I don't want to lose my credibility speaking on football, right? And standing up for Tim Tebow. And now I'm standing up for Jacobs. Absolutely, he can do it. He's 38. Yes, we know that. Hasn't played since 2012. Yes, we know that. The guy is 6'4", 270 pounds. Of course you can put him out there on 3rd down at defensive end, and he can get a stop or two, hit your quarterback. All you got to do is teach him a few little techniques. Like I said with Tebow, it comes down to situational football. Nick, I love it. I love it.
Love it. Just real quick, because I know there's an argument of like, you know what? There's a 22-year-old deserves that spot. Perhaps an extra veteran spot on the squad. It's just like, hey, give him a tryout. It's sort of like an old-timers day in baseball. Every team gets one spot for a former superstar. I don't know, like Hall of Famer Julian Edelman can come in and try something. So we'll just see what it is. Just give it a shot.
You have to be away from the game at least 3 years.
I love these comebacks. Okay, sure. That's good. So
Have to be
in 4
away
years,
from the game at
Edelman
least
come
3
back.
years. Okay.
His knee will be healed up.
Jenna, I'm not going to comment on this.
You okay, Nick?
I'm not going to. I feel like
didn't
it's
think you would.
debasing
your heart rate is up.
embarrassing for the show. I'm not. I'm abstaining from the conversation any further.
Okay.
Nick,
Understood.
come on,
Let's
man.
move on.
You know this is good for
get back to
the
the hardwood.
Giants. They need a little leadership in there.
Hey, Brandon, what do you think about Vrabel?
So would a rodeo clown. Rodeo clown would sell
Last
some
night's
jerseys.
game, tempers flaring. The end of Suns Lakers. Will any of that shippiness spill over into Game 4? We'll talk about that next. First things first. With a golden retriever out there, they'll figure. Brandon, buddy, on Sunday the Cup Series returns to Charlotte for the Coca-Cola 600.
Coca-Cola
6 Eastern. I know where you'll be. 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific on Sunday. Watching Fox and checking out the Fox Sports app. Indeed.
Come on, Bubba.
All right, guys, time for a little
You can do
wild,
it,
weird,
Bubba.
wonderful from our national pastime yesterday. Oh, my guy, Aaron Judge. Oh, my going yard for the 13th time last night. As my Yankees won
Swinging
Game 2 of that
3-0.
doubleheader with the Jays. Pretty wonderful stuff. Kevin Wilds, what else you got for us?
Oh,
Give us something
throughout the
good.
history of baseball, your old buddy Kevin Wilds missed many of the most wonderful moments, such as Babe Ruth's called shot, Willie Mays' catch, perhaps Ted Williams' last home run. But friends, we were all here for this. Pirates Cubs, and what was, what is, what will always be known as the worst play in baseball history. We had front row seats courtesy of the internet or if you were watching live. So you know what? You woke up today and whatever problems you may have, put them aside and say, wow,
Wasn't as
aren't
bad
I
as
lucky
this.
to be alive to see the worst fielding play in the history of our great
There's 2
national
outs.
pastime. We should all celebrate. And great job by hockey
2 outs.
science.
Step on first
Magical
base,
is
you
what makes baseball
fool.
wonderful.
What is he doing?
And
No, it's-
you
I'm
can't
looking at this
retreat
tonight.
to home. It's
at
not an
Anthony.
eligible base. Oh my God.
We're moving on. Big game in Dallas tonight, guys. Game 3 between the Mavs and Clippers. Clippers down 0-2 in a series even Nick thought they would win. They've got any chance of keeping their title hopes alive. It starts tonight. And you know who agrees with me? Head coach Ty Lue. Take a listen.
I think urgency is the right word. Pressure and panic, I don't believe in that. I think you just got to take it one game at a time. They won the first 2 games on our floor. And we just got to take it one game at a time. When we get down 2-0, we come into another team's arena. It shows what you're made of. Our toughness and, like all year, just trust, sticking together. And then this is going to show us tomorrow, who we are and what we're made of. So I'm excited to see.
All right, Chris Broussard. These were your Clippers. Now look at the position they're in. Do you expect them to show up tonight?
I don't, Jenna. And maybe it is because I was once such a believer in these Clippers and they just let me down time after time. Maybe now I'm jaded. I don't know, but I don't expect them to show up tonight because the last 3 games that, where there was that real urgency, it's like, okay, they'll show up tonight. Their backs are against the wall. Get it done. They didn't. Game 6 and 7 against Denver last year when they blew the 3-1 lead. You think Denver comes back down 3-2. Now, okay, the Clippers will finish them off in Game 6. They don't want to let this thing get to 7, and they didn't show up. Game 7, okay, they've lost the last 2. They let Denver back in the series. They'll show up. They didn't. And Game 2 in this series, you're at home in danger of going down 0-2, and you don't show up. So what's to make them show up tonight in Dallas on the road with more than 15,000 fans there? And I've been to games in Dallas, and it is a great presentation that they have down there with the fans and everything they do. It's going to be a home court advantage. So if they didn't show up in Game 2, what's to make them show up in Game 3? Game 2 was just as dire.
Because they're some of the best basketball players in the world.
Okay, they still didn't
That's why
fight
they're going
over
to show
picks.
up.
All right? They still didn't fight over picks. They still didn't take away anything defensively. Luka had his way, and then the supporting cast had his way. You always got to take away something. We're going to let Luka get his and stop everyone else. We're going to stop everyone else and let Luka get, or stop Luka and let everybody else beat us. They did neither. And the problem, Brandon, is not offense. They got 41 from Kawhi. They got 28 and 12 boards from Paul George. They outscored the Mavericks from the foul line, in fast break points, in points off of turnovers, in points in the paint, and they still lost. I picked them in 7,
so here's the difference.
I love for them to rally.
Here's the difference.
But where's the evidence?
Luka's Luka. But do you expect Tim Hardaway, Porzingis, and everybody else, the others, the supporting cast, to be sensational again 3 games in a row? And then you look at the Clippers and Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris, playoff Rondo. They didn't show up. Kawhi has been doing his part. Playoff P, that's no longer. Playoff P is actually a good thing right now because the dude's been efficient. He's been playing good basketball. And Chris, Nick, how do you go from being a top 5 offense and defense all year to now you're in the playoffs and now all of a sudden you can't guard? Come on, man. The problem is, or the challenge has been that everybody has been on fire in Dallas. So I expect the Clippers to come out and win tonight. And Nick, I know you're a big bettor. All right. I don't know anything about that, the overs, the unders, and all that. But I don't know if there's a bookie on Fox Bet. If there is, please connect me with them because I'm taking the Clippers not only to win this game, but to come back in the series and win the whole series. And what is it like? What are they giving? What are they giving? Like 10 to 1 or something?
Wait.
Sure you are.
Wait.
Of course you are.
You don't need Fox Bet. I've got you. I'm going to connect with you after the show. I will book that bet for the series for you. No problem. I'll give you a better price than you can get anywhere else.
What is it? Is it 10 to 1? What is it? Give it to me.
No, it's not 10 to 1. Right now, the Clippers are, I think, about 3 to 1 to win the series. I give you 3.2
Give me 10 to 1, and I'll take the bet.
We can talk later. I don't know if it's 10 to 1 is a little much, but a few things here. Brandon, you know why Tim Hardaway Jr. looks even better than Tim Hardaway Sr.? Oh, my God. Because they're all practice shots. Because there is no defense. Because everybody looks amazing when they're wide open, except for, oddly enough, the Lakers shooters this series, but that's a separate story. Broussard, I don't think people fully understand the stakes for the Clippers in this series. Dan Woike, who covers the team for the LA Times, said this yesterday jokingly to Zach Lowe. I'm going to say it totally seriously. If they lose this series, Broussard, they just got to move to Seattle. You got to start over. You got to see listen, nobody in LA cares about you. Ballmer's from there. Seattle needs a team anyway. You need to exorcise the demons of this franchise, because this is shameful. Last year, I didn't believe in them, and I picked them to lose in round 2. This year, I did kind of believe in them. I didn't think they could give the Lakers trouble, but I'm like, the Mavs can't guard, and the Mavs have one superstar, but no other even all-star. They'll be able to beat the Mavs, and I obviously don't believe in the Jazz, because who believes in the Jazz? And I'm like, okay, they'll be able to get to the conference finals. Instead, they got embarrassed in back-to-back home games. And your point about the defense is the one that matters. Because some teams can't guard because they don't have the personnel. Some teams obviously have the personnel. The Clippers do. And when they can't guard, that is in your head, or you would say it's motivation. But how could you possibly be more motivated than game 2? You should be at peak motivation. Your season's on the line. And you let a 22-year-old child just toy with you. And so this is arguably the biggest game in Clippers franchise history. They've played in 4 Game 7s of conference semifinals. Only one of those years were they a real championship contender, the McAdoo team in like 75 or 76. So maybe it's the second biggest game to that. But if they go down 3-0, Broussard, the whole front office gets fired, and one of Kawhi or Paul George is not back next year. Like, you can't run it back. You cannot, if you lose in round 1, swept out in round 1, run it back. So I think it's as big of a game as most of these, as the franchise has had, certainly in modern history and maybe ever.
Well, look, a lot of people around the league, Nick, that I have talked to do think the front office, Lawrence Frank, the president, will be in trouble if they lose this series. Maybe. Look, he did the right things, right? Go get Kawhi. Okay, it's going to take me giving up all my draft picks to get Paul George to get Kawhi. Okay, that's 2 stars. And Luke Kennard, I get it. That was a bad move. But I can't kill the front office. They haven't built the culture that they need there. That's for darn sure. But it'll be interesting to see what type of fallout is there. As far as moving to Seattle, I'd love that if it wouldn't cost me Kawhi. That's the problem. If they move to Seattle, Kawhi is free to be like, okay, I came here to go to be in Southern California. Now I'm out of here, and they got to start all over. I agree with you on playoff P or Kawhi. Kawhi, I want to keep. Paul George, I'm offering him for Bradley Beal. I'm offering him for Dame Lillard. I'm looking around the league and seeing what I can get for playoff P once this series is over.
Well, can you help me out here before you dive into your take? Help me out here. Then why the heck did Chris and Nick pick the Clippers then? Why did they pick them? Just a week ago, they picked the Clippers to beat the Mavs. It just seems fickle to me.
We were fooled.
Well, I was trying to...
Throwing out the F word.
We were fooled. I like that one. Well, I just felt like Broussard, Brandon, was trying to put it call. He started sort of planting the seeds of Brandon's Clippers. Last year was all Broussard's Clippers. So I just wanted to make sure once people trying to sneak takes, make takes into the early other takes, Nick, you're our resident legacy guy. Kawhi's legacy. Yeah. We talked about most to gain. Wow, if he won a championship. 3 championships, maybe 3 finals MVPs, took 3 franchises there, although he's part of the, Spurs dynasty. What if he loses this one? Do we start rewriting the history books on Kawhi? It's like, well, the first one, that's Tim Duncan and that's Pop. The second was sort of rent a superstar. They were just sort of ready to go. And then he went to LA and nothing happened. So does he actually have the most to lose legacy-wise now, specifically tonight? Because if tonight, it's over.
Well, yeah, listen, here are the facts. The actual history of Kawhi Leonard goes something like this. Amazing development inside the Spurs system, going from a instantly phenomenal defensive player, turning himself into, through hard work and amazing determination, into an elite offensive player. Along the way, he got one of the most curious finals MVPs that has ever been given out in a series where 2 games of that series he scored in single-digit points, and he got the finals MVP because he was guarding LeBron, who in that series averaged 28 a game on 60% shooting. They're like, Kawhi shut him down. So it's like, okay, but hey, they had to give it to somebody. Then the next big moment for him. So wait, hold on. Let me back up a bit. Then it's the best organization in the NBA. He turns on him. Rightly or wrongly, he and Pop have a massive falling out with the organization, and he basically bails on an entire season when the Spurs kept saying he was ready. He lands in Toronto, has a remarkable second and third round of the playoffs, and then in the NBA Finals, the clearly superior team that was definitely going to win the title lost their best and their third best player to traumatic injuries, and they won the title. And then he goes to LA, talks a big old game without talking, and flames out in historic fashion. Is he an all-time great player? Absolutely. Should he have ever been in the discussion alongside Kevin Durant and Steph Curry? No. Alongside LeBron James? Give me a break. It was ludicrous and laughable when it was happening. And here's the other part, Broussard, for Kawhi legacy-wise, that to me, these 2 playoff years where it's taken a massive ding. You can no longer call him one of the best two-way players playing because he's not a two-way player anymore. He's an offense-only guy. He was in the playoffs last year. He's been a two-way player on one playoff run, the Raptors. With the Spurs, he was one-way defense, except for maybe the year Zaza hurt him. He was doing it on both ends. Remember that 2017? He was really good on both ends for the Spurs, but then Zaza hurt him in game 1. And with the Raptors, he was good on both ends. With the Spurs, before that, though, he was defense only. And with the Clippers, he's been offense only. And that's not what you're supposed to be getting with Kawhi. You're supposed to be getting the best two-way wing in the league, and it's been nothing close to that in either playoff run with the Clippers.
And what you've seen is that when the pressure of expectations are there, Kawhi has struggled. In San Antonio, he was the 4th best player on that team, or the 4th guy, averaged 12 points a game that year. All right, there were no expectations for him, no pressure. In Toronto, it's your one-year mercenary. Nobody's expecting anything, no pressure. Now you come to the Clippers, and everybody was expecting you guys to win the championship. People were saying you might be the best player in the world. You might be better than LeBron James. And that pressure that he invited with the commercials and all the things he did, that pressure that LeBron James has played his entire career with, has melted Kawhi Leonard with the Clippers. Now, the saving grace for him, he's only 29. So even if they go out in the first round, he's got a chance to rewrite this thing and redeem himself. But this is going to look bad this summer. It's going to look like he can't lead under the weight of expectations.
All right, so here's a conversation to see what happens. Time for Nick to hand out some NBA medals of what did happen. LeBron's play on Jay Crowder here. This could have been medal-worthy all by itself. But the King just missing out on a medal from Nick. Nick, which 3 guys did it better last night?
Poor Jay Crowder. He keeps having his season ended by LeBron, and now LeBron's laughing at him when he does it. Bronze medal, Dame. Dame was great. The Blazers' defense, not shockingly, was not. He scores 37, not enough, as the Nuggets take back control of that series, winning the last 2. Dame gets the bronze. Silver medal, the Joker, 36, 11, and 5, including the biggest offensive rebound of the playoffs with 3 seconds left off a missed free throw to ice the game. And then the gold. All Anthony Davis. Don't look now, America. But since getting hurt in that Clippers game, Anthony Davis averaging 28 and 9. 6 of those games have come against playoff teams. 4 have come against the Suns. 2 more will come against the Suns because the Lakers are now going to win in 5. So there it is. There's your medals from last night. Jenna Wolfe, Anthony Davis with the gold, the Joker with the silver, and Dame with the bronze.
I think he nailed it. I nailed it. But Kevin Wildes, who just missed the cut.
And Devin Booker had 19 points last night. Got this shot rejected from Andre Drummond. But look, referees, you got to treat some of these blocks like when a student gets 100 on a hard test. If it looks that awesome, you got to be like, something's up. This is obviously goaltending because it was too cool of a highlight. So Devin Booker, I've got to call into the league. I don't know if the game, you're going to definitely get you the 2 points. Try to get the Suns to win this game. I don't know if Adam Silver's willing to overturn the results of the game, but I've got the call in. Stay tuned. We'll got a few more minutes in the show.
We'll keep you posted.
Let's talk some Lakers Suns. Is this series basically a wrap after last night? We discuss that next. Chris Broussard, as always, thank you so much. That was fun.
You're welcome. Sorry, B, it's a wrap.
Back here, first things first, time for stories to start your morning, sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. Lakers Suns Game 3 in front of 7,000 fans, and those 7,000 fans got to see another Oscar-worthy performance from Mr. Brow, Anthony Davis. 34-11, and yet still this was a close game, guys, until the Lakers pulled away in the second half. As for CP3, we wondered if he was going to go. He did played 27 minutes, but only 2.5 minutes in that fourth quarter when they needed him. So, Brandon, I ask you, is this series over?
Jenna, wow, please, let's mute Nick, let's mute Chris, Richard. You know, for them to say that this series was over before it started is absolutely disrespectful to the game. Look, CP3 goes down. In the first game, second quarter, 9 minutes and 19 seconds, the game was over. The series was over then. You got Crowder. Said this after last game two's loss. It's not easier without him on the court. He's our quarterback. If my quarterback goes down, our chances of winning decreases dramatically. So you talking about CP3, we're talking about the floor general, we're talking about a guy that just last night, LeBron James, in his press conference when asked, like, hey, tell me about CP3. Do you think this is really affecting, you know, the series? And he tried to be diplomatic. Like, look, we're approaching CP3 as if he's 100% healthy. You have to ask him that question. LeBron James and everybody else knows that if CP3 was 100%, that this wouldn't be a series. We're talking about a team that is still in it. So for CP3 in game one to have 23 minutes, 6 points, it's not enough. Last night, 27 points, 27 minutes, 7 points. It's not enough. So, of course, this series is over, and it's because of that. The real question is, can they sustain Anthony Davis? Can you continue to do what you've done the last two games, 30-plus points back-to-back? He is the key to the Lakers making a deep run in this playoffs.
Brandon, the series didn't end midway through the second quarter of game one. The series ended in late December of 1984 when LeBron was born, and we were set on this path to this series.
Oh, my goodness.
Because once that happened, the Suns had no chance. Can Anthony Davis do it? Well, he did score 42 against the Suns at the end of the regular season without LeBron out there when Chris Paul was fully healthy. Would Chris Paul have made the difference? Well, last night they were down 21 in the second half, and the Lakers were experimenting with gags in live play of the fourth quarter because they were so confident in what they could do. In the third quarter, when the Lakers took control of the game, they scored every one of their baskets in the paint. And as great as Chris Paul is, Chris Paul, rim defender, is not something anyone has ever said because he is exactly as tall as I am. Fact of the matter is this. There are really advanced, funky numbers that NBA teams have access to, and somebody with an NBA team lets me see them as well. And they show you what your expected points were based on shot quality. There is not a team in the playoffs thus far that has been what they would call more unlucky on open shots than the Lakers.
Unlucky.
I say that to say this. They have missed, like their expected points are about 11 a game lower than what they've actually gotten, or 11 a game more, their expected points. Meaning that the Suns are fortunate that the Lakers are shooting an abysmal rate on wide open threes, or else this series would be even more lopsided. The Suns are not a Chris Paul away from competing. They're a LeBron James not existing away from competing. Because while, as LeBron showed last night, he can take over whenever he wants. Whenever he wants, he can do what he did in the third quarter. He is choosing not to because he's trying to play the long game. But at no point were the Lakers in jeopardy here, Brandon. At no point.
Listen, Nick, buddy, sometimes I don't know who's coming up with these numbers and statistics. Sometimes they just mess up the game because there's sometimes you just have bad runs. This could be reminiscent of the 2017 Cleveland Cavaliers when LeBron James was sensational, playing lights out. But J.R. Smith and everybody else out there, his shooters that he's dependent on, couldn't even touch the rim. So this could be a situation, Wilds, where the Lakers just don't got it.
Well, the Lakers have it and then some.
25%?
Last night, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. Here's what I know. When a playoff game turns into the All-Star game, that means the series is over. This is what you see on the All-Star game, like, oh, clear out. Let's have some fun. Let's jump around on the sidelines.
Smile.
Let's give suggestions on the moves like Andre Drummond. Here's another play from LeBron. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is during a playoff game. This is 0 dark 30 LeBron. Like, we are, and I haven't seen this, Nick. This guy is having so much fun out here. I am seeing zero fear from LeBron at all. And I'm not saying they're not taking the Suns seriously, but I'm saying we have entered into a new stage of LeBron's playoff journey to try to get to 16 wins. First stage, feel-out game. Second stage, get guys open. Third stage, have some fun. Instill some confidence in the guys. But this series is over once I see it turn into an all-star game.
And poor Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder in 2015 gets swept out of the playoffs by LeBron. In 2017 gets gentlemen swept out of the playoffs by LeBron. In 2018, he's on LeBron's team. He's like, finally. And then in the deadline, LeBron trades him to Salt Lake City. And last year he loses in the finals to LeBron. And this year he's getting made a fool of by LeBron. And Jenna, LeBron's driving him crazy. Just like LeBron drove the Warriors so crazy in 2016 that Aisha Curry said the game was rigged for ratings or money. You got Chris Paul last night after the game being like, Scott Foster conspiracy theorist. Oh, of course, I can't win a game when Scott Foster's out there. Like, yeah, listen, everybody knows it's over. Everybody knows, Jenna.
Well, officially, they do have to play Game 4 Sunday afternoon at Staples, so we'll see how that goes. Let's talk about the latest with tight end Tim Tebow, because this has Nick all fired up. Should we just call him all everything Tebow? Because the report yesterday said there's talk around the league that head coach Urban Meyer has brought Tebow to Jacksonville, wait for it, to play quarterback in the Taysom Hill role. Brandon, I'll start with you. What'd you make of the report?
Look, if this guy still have half of his toughness, he absolutely can do that. I was down there in New Orleans, and Taysom Hill is tough. That's why they can throw him on special teams. That's why they can throw him in there on 3rd and short. They can throw him out there when we're talking about, short yardage and red zone offense. It's hard to pick up a 3rd and 1 in the National Football League. It's hard to get a touchdown when everybody knows you're running the ball on 3rd and 1 on the 1 yard line or 4th and 1 on the 1 yard line. He can do that. So yes, I'm buying this. Yes, it can work. But first, let's get the tight end position down. Can we do that first? Tim Tebow, when you're running your routes and you're at the top, please don't put your head at your spot because you're telling everybody where you're breaking.
Brandon.
Come on, Tim Tebow. I'm rooting for you.
Can't do that.
What's up, Nick?
Keep your head up. Keep your head up.
Wilds. What? Why? No. Keep your head up. Wilds. I warned the Jags that this is how this was going. It's oh, what's the harm? It's a tryout. Oh, what's the harm? There's 90 roster spots. Oh, what's the harm? He can play tight end. And now we're going to take Trevor Lawrence off the field for fantasy camp. Middle-aged man's fantasy camp. Good luck. Have fun.
I'm taking the over on
Enjoy
everything,
it.
Tebow.
Have a